Make hay while the sun shines.
This is your first day in real estate, and I am your real estate sales trainer and coach, James Festini. And this is the program that's going to teach you how to sell more real estate in less time.
Over the last 2 months, I've had some interesting conversations with real estate agents and companies that run dialers. And I've been studying a lot of, the industry and the way, not necessarily the real estate industry, but the telecommunications, telemarketing industry and the direction. I'm not going to go into the details of the TCPAA and the stir shaken and the DNC. Let's just say that telemarketing, I mentioned it in my book, telemarketing was on life support. It was really bad. Now, the reason I say this is because I've been around since 1993. I began telemarketing, and when I would pick up the phone, I could dial 100 people, and I would talk to 70 people, right? It was a 70% pickup rate, and I could have conversations, and I could generate a listing within 48 hours, 72 hours in many cases, because there was no research, there was no reviews. It was like if they were interested and they were thinking about it, they either had the agent who was dropping stuff at their doorstep, but they were interested, right? So it was much easier. Now, with the evolution of technology, especially after 2007 and the reviews and the online market analysis and all that, Facebook, Google, that gave an incubation period of people starting to do their homework a little bit ahead of time, along with a little bit of reluctancy and skepticism over um, making a sudden move because, well, when the market crashed, people started holding on to their money a little bit tighter. So there's a strange combination of what that translates to in today's numbers. Over the last year or two, or let's just say pre-COVID, PC, there was a pickup rate, meaning that if I called 100 people, I would get about 6%, six people I'd speak to, right? There's probably maybe 15, but 6% of them were people who I pitched to, I asked the question, we had dialogue, so I could qualify that as a contact. A contact is an individual who can say no, but maybe they don't. Decision maker. So what that was doing is about 6%. Then I started seeing 5%. It went from like 8% in 2015 to about 7, 6, and I started seeing some fives. And as soon as COVID hit, it jumped up to 18%, 15%. And then as COVID started waning, it went down to about 10, 12. And then by the end of January, by the end of last year, it started getting back down to 6 or 7%, right? So what does that mean? Right before that, I wrote a book called Dynamic Door Knocking. February of 2020, it was published. It's also on Amazon. Pick it up because this is the future. Not that I'm going to pitch you on door knocking, because I've been looking at alternate solutions or supplemental solutions to also cold call. I'm still out there picking up the phones. But I've had a couple of conversations with these agents in particular about the numbers and the dynamics and how much they're pushing out there and what it's taking nowadays versus even just 2 years ago, as far as outbound dials to connection to conversation to conversion from a completely cold individual, a complete stranger, to a listing contract. Those numbers, my friends, have increased dramatically. The technology I'm using now, although Mojo is still my primary CRM, I still have a CRM that I use religiously. The dialing software has stepped up dramatically. So I'm not going to get into the details there. If you want to find out more, the links are in the description below for like the massive amounts of calls beyond like, well, anyhow, reach out to me and find out. But now, instead of making 100 contacts a day, I'm committing to 3 to 500 contacts a day, tripling, doubling, tripling my efforts on the phones. I'm also doing a little bit of door knocking still, but more importantly, I'm hitting the phones because I still have a lot of leads that I got to get a hold of. So pickup rates, follow up, all of those still apply. I believe that the behavior right now that is being forced on these pickup rates, and well, with the caller IDs being banned rather quickly now, if you call a certain amount of numbers, your caller ID reputation gets tarnished, and so you have to have Google Voice numbers, etc., to generate good phone caller IDs, legitimate legal caller ID, and then registering them with places like calltransparency.com, doing the right thing, just like we did with the DNC and registering ourselves on the do not call list. You register your name, your number, and the phone numbers that you're going to use as your caller ID. Find out about all this stuff. If you want to know more about it, you can always hire me as a one-on-one coach. especially if you have teams and you're trying to hire people to pick up the phone and actually make the calls. I'm probably the best guy to talk to about doing that kind of thing for you and your teams and your companies. If you're running a bigger company, especially if you're running a bigger real estate office, you're probably going to still have your people on the phones. I'd recommend you hire me for a consultation just to figure out the dynamics of what it takes more. It's harder. The telemarketing industry is back on its deathbed. Remember, right before the Rona hit, and I published that book, I said in my book, telemarketing is on its deathbed. It's like it's on life support. Nah, pandemic, then it obviously gave it a whole new lease on life, but it's back. Not only that, Stir Shaken's implementation at the end of July made it even more so real. And so it still remains the wild west of telemarketing in a new era, right? But the game has changed because I'm seeing my people doing things not illegally, but far more aggressively. Not the calls and interactions, but the amount of numbers they have to reach out to, the amount of effort that it takes telemarketing, picking up the phone and calling people. So these conversations I had related to what's the next step? What's the next of the future? I still believe that there's still a purge right now of real estate agents. A lot of agents just not going to make it. Within 10 years, 99% of them are going to be gone. I'm thinking five at the pace things are happening, but let's just say 10. The agents that will survive will have to establish themselves as the most recognized brand in the community. I believe, honestly, I personally believe that if Jeff Bezos said, "Hey, James Festini, I want to wipe out the real estate industry," money's no object. I could do it. I could do it within a year because the technology exists there. It is there. And well, remember, Jeff Bezos, not like anyone else, because it'd be too much red tape. But with Jeff Bezos, he can buy the whole thing. What I'm getting at is we are definitely on the way to being not replaced, but definitely massively disrupted. If we aren't already, it's even more so. It's up to you to continue doing what you've got to do, make as many calls as you possibly can, hit as many doors as you possibly can, but in the meantime, also establish yourself as the most recognized brand in your community. That will never go away. You see, once this purge is done, there's still going to be two kinds of agents: big box, churning and turning, the iBuyers and all that stuff. They will exist, and the mom and pops. They're not going to be able to do away with it all because we are still Sherpas in the real estate industry. Maybe in 15 years from now, maybe 10 years, we could be eliminated completely. It is possible. But what I'm getting at now is what can you do now? Make hay while the sun shines. You familiar with that phrase? Make hay while the sun shines. The sun is still shining. You can still pick up the phone, you can still knock on the door, and you can still find an individual who, if you're a good agent and you provide a good service and a good value, you can establish a relationship with them, build that relationship, establish knowing, liking, and trusting so that they hire you. And once they hire you, you do such a good job and you ask them for a referral the old fashioned way. It still exists. It just might be more. Your follow up can't just be a letter. It has to be a beautiful letter. Your email can't just be an email. It has to be a video email using Dub. Links in the description below because forget about it. Dub is 10x better than BombBomb. Links are in the description below. They are an affiliate, but they're so much better. But I'm saying there's only 5 levels of communication as you do this follow up with these individuals: mail, email, text, phone, door. This is conversations about phone, and the phone is just getting real squishy. We can do mail, obviously. Stamps are going up to 58 cents already. So we can do mail, but it has to be done right, right? Consistent, and it has to be to people who might be interested. You can do email, but it can't just be email. It's got to be custom market reports and I'm not talking about custom to that territory. I'm talking about, hey, Mr. Jones, here's the market analysis. Here's what I'm doing. If you guys have seen what I've done, if you've seen my market videos with Terra Datum, and if you've seen everything else, it's mind blowing next level stuff that I do to send emails to my customers, my potential customers. So email, done better, video with tracking. Text messaging, that's right. When you do a video email, you might as well send it to them in a text. If you can't reach them, then obviously that way too, but opt-ins and all sorts of stuff. I'm not a fan of like mass texting. I'm talking about direct texting to people who probably could be expecting or the dialogue is already established. So don't break any rules. If you haven't already known by now, I'm super duper compliant with everything because my livelihood depends on this. And then, of course, the telephone, make sure that you're complying with the do not call list. Make sure you're complying with any Telephone Consumer Protection Act. Make sure that there's a lot of rules here. That's what we're talking about is make sure you follow the rules. You can definitely 10x, even 30x your efforts, but as long as you remain consistent and you're a good agent, then go for it. And then, of course, the doors. Doors are still sky's the limit unless your city is restricting something. Get your permits, as I have to do, fingerprinted by the police. It's totally lame. But you get your permit, you pick up the. So don't worry about it now. My advice to you is don't worry about it now, but you better have savings, and you better work harder until you have savings, or I don't know, work hard, play hard, and hope you die peacefully. But this is a tough business. Game is changing. If you're out there telephone prospecting, you need to hire me as your one-on-one coach so that you can play this game at the next level. Because trust me, when I enlighten you, the things that I'm doing now versus last year is game changing because the game has changed. So don't go thinking. I'm wondering what the other big wigs are talking about because I don't see it online. It's not these kind of numbers. It's way more difficult. You got to do way more. So, anyhow, thank you for watching. And I hope you guys start paying attention to the future of real estate because either you're in or you're out. That's why I'm with EXP now. If you want to join EXP, it is the future of real estate and I can help you. My coach is included with it. Get
Have you
back to work.
seen my amazing local market videos for my real estate business? In one word, Terradatum. They make videos branded to your brokerage and automatically update them every month with videos by zip code, county, city, and your hyper-local market, and it's extremely affordable. Have you guys seen my website lately? Well, you should. It's absolutely gorgeous. I owe it all to Zentap. They will help you with your advertising using your MLS, IDX, and social media to attract an audience and engage your leads using sophisticated bots. Now, you're gonna need a powerful CRM to manage all of this, and as you know, Mojo Selling Solutions is more than just a dialer. It's the most powerful CRM bar none. Mojo provides you expireds for sell by owners, and that is the third list of data, along with email and mail campaigns. For more information on any of these products, along with my personal coaching and training products, go to jamesfestini.com today. Or just show financial support at any amount on patreon.com/jamesfestini. Now, get back to work.